Hey, welcome to the channel, A Collector's Life for Me. So, I hadn't planned on actually making a video today, but then I realized it's October 20th, and if my dad was here today, it would be his 60th birthday. So, I'm actually doing a video, not so much to showcase any collectibles, but just to talk about some collectibles. My father was William McCarthy, and G.I. Joe was his passion. Growing up as kids, we played with the 3 3/4 inch figures. They were something he'd just buy and because he enjoyed them, and he would let us all have all out wars, throughout the house or whatever room we were playing in. He was into the vehicles, he was into the figures, the comic books, and even like the cases and stuff that wasn't actually didn't serve a purpose besides containing or taking care of the toys. But my dad he is the reason that I am a collector. Grew up around him just being into toys as an adult, having kids, working his day job, but always enjoying toys. When Nintendo came out, we played video games and stuff, but it still wasn't even really his thing for the most part. So he bought us lots of toys. He bought himself lots of toys, and growing up, it wasn't about. There was no financial value behind that. It was all about the enjoyment you got out of that. He used to play with Green Army men in his backyard when he was a child. So things like that, where there was no intention of these things becoming valuable or having any longevity. It was all about the enjoyment of the item as it was. And he shared that with me and my siblings. And I'm very grateful for that. And it's definitely been passed on to myself. With regards to G.I. Joe, he started with the 3 3/4 inch scale, bought lots of vehicles. We had the Technodrome. We had whatever series came out that he felt he could purchase it without hampering our lifestyle. We went to school. He was, for a bit, he was mostly a single father. Taking care of a handful of children, three of us. And then he met my stepmom, and they had another child, my youngest brother. And he didn't get to experience what we got to experience as kids, which was like true joy and playfulness in our toys. I would say when he was growing up, some of this stuff had become more collectible or more of a side hobby. It wasn't as shared. My dad got into like the 1/6 G.I. Joe like commando type, like the actual military style 1/6 scale figures, and he would set them up as dioramas. He spent a lot of time in the garage crafting, adding foliage. I think he would even like make his own like ghillie suits and stuff for the figures. So he was very very good about he was very good at that craft, and he enjoyed it. So he did kind of change. He passed about 15 years ago, or so, and I actually kind of inherited his actual cartoon G.I. Joe collection. So I have gone through and I've been like bagging his 3 3/4 inch figures. So like Tomax and Zaymont. We got a Baroness here. We have her in a few different iterations. Original Snake Eyes. And these have become fairly valuable. If there's anything, to be said for nostalgia, Cobra Eel, G.I. Joe hits the mark for a lot of people. I think these kind of had a golden age as far as toys go in the 80s. The 3 3/4 inch line probably were some of the best like playable crafted toys on the market. Very affordable, cool vehicles, and they were never crazy expensive or unreachable, and they scaled properly with the figures, and you could really enjoy it. And I have bins. I have his bins of all of his vehicles and stuff. His F-15s. So I have to go through all those and piece them together, and I can't say I'm at a crossroad, but I'm not sure what to do with it all. Whether I just want to clean it all up and store it properly and just let it be what it is. If I want to clean up a lot of the stuff and resell them, like I said, I'm not really sure what to do, but I do. Going through it, it brings back memories. Today, thought hard about my dad. Thought about what he's meant to me as a toy collector and the hobby. I'm actually not that into G.I. Joe the license, or G.I. Joe the theme. If it wasn't for him, I would know what it is because I'm an 80s baby, but I wouldn't, if I didn't get to play with it when I was a kid. And today they've got the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified, which I've collected some of them and I love them. I've got a few of my dad's favorite characters out here. Snake Eyes was by far his favorite. Beachhead, and then Zartan here. So I've got Baroness over there. I'm not sure how into Baroness he was, but how could you not like Baroness? She's an amazing villain or character. But I've purchased these because of him. That's really it on those. So these are my collectibles that they don't get played with. But as far as a figure line goes, I think for the price point, they're probably some of the most well-made figures on the market. As far as the attention to detail and capturing the original figure, but also the accessories and the playability, the posability that they have. In fact, I think there's been times when they've been so popular that certain characters, they sell out too quickly, and then the aftermarket blows up on that character, and that's an issue. But at the same time, that just shows the popularity of the toy line, and I'll pass those on to my kids someday, and they'll hopefully they can do whatever they want with them, just like I'm having to figure out with my dad's stuff. The 1/6 scale, these didn't exist for him. I think if he got to see something like this, this is the Sideshow 1/6 scale Baroness. He was into 1/6 scale, but they didn't have the actual G.I. Joe franchise figures available, during his time. But if he saw these, he'd be like, I can't see how he wouldn't have them or want them at least. But they're amazing. I wish I had bought them when they were all initially released. I've had to kind of gather some of them aftermarket, and the aftermarket values on them are definitely very high. One thing the G.I. Joe Classified line does not capture like it did in the 3 3/4 original toy line is the vehicles. But here's a Baroness motorcycle. It looks cool, but it's not like the originals. The originals, you had the vehicles were awesome. They had all the missiles and all that stuff. He even left me his comic book collection. So I've rebagged and boarded them all, and I've got them stored. This is just a small, the first 7 or 8 issues I grabbed out of the box, but I've got them all boxed up. I think my youngest brother has, I hope he has, you better have, the 1/6 scale commandos that my dad used to have, but it's everybody has to learn their lesson on what everybody has the Mickey Mantle and the baseball spokes stories and stuff. So maybe, I hope he hasn't, but maybe he's learned that lesson or is going to, that if you're able to, you should hold on to as much of the nostalgic stuff, because even if the value goes up, there's value to it beyond the financial value. But at the same time, the stuff becomes valuable, and that's why people tell those stories. Nobody would tell the stories about sticking a Mickey Mantle rookie baseball card in their, in their bike spokes, or their parents or grandparents cleaning out the attic and getting rid of their collections, if that stuff didn't eventually have value. I doubt anybody's talking about, their Beanie Baby collection being tossed out. It's, it, nobody wants to hear the story. I had 4,000 Beanie Babies and they all got thrown away. And yeah, no, that doesn't exist, or it shouldn't exist anyways. But no, even that being said, I'm sure there's memories to be had. But that's what this video is about. Eventually I'll do breakdowns on like the G.I. Joe classified line, my 1/6 scale collection. Maybe we'll dig into my dad's actual figure collection and stuff. It's tough to say. A lot of it's played. A lot of it's gotten some nice love. But there's cool stuff in here. I mean, Serpentor. We got Junkyard and Mutt. It's and like Sergeant Slaughter. He had his favorites. Deep Six. I mean, there's just so many Roadblock. It's a lot of fun. And 80s franchises, G.I. Joe is a great 80s franchise. Even before that, as far as the popularity goes, it was an 80s franchise, but I think a lot of this stuff, the original G.I. Joe, where it was based on the military version, that was, I want to say 50s. I'm probably wrong on that. Definitely for sure. But I know it was older than when this stuff started coming out. This was more of like the cartooned version of all that. But like I said, didn't plan on making this video. Happy birthday, Dad. 60 years. Cheers. But thanks for checking this out. And beyond that, enjoy the rest of your day.